The money printing machines at India's central bank are working overtime as ATMs across the country run out of cash again. The scenes are all too reminiscent of the government's ban on high-value notes back in 2016. India's finance minister Arun Jaitley says the central bank has ramped up banknote production to ease the shortage, which he says is temporary. But scenes at banks tell a different story, with people queuing for hours to try to get money out. Some banks have even imposed restrictions on the amount that people can withdraw to stop hoarding. The last time ATMs ran dry was back in 2016, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi banned 500 and 1,000 rupee notes in an attempt to curb tax evasion and help digitize the economy. Since then, cash in circulation has returned to pre-demonetization levels of almost $284 billion. But the country's cash-to-GDP ratio remains low at 10.9%. Santosh Rao joins me now from New York. He's the head of research at Merchant Bank Manhattan Venture Partners. Santosh, great to have you on the show. Let's talk about this latest run on cash machines. Has it shown that Modi's demonetization policy really has not worked?
No, that's not true. Thanks for having me, by the way. I think it has worked. What you're seeing now is part structural and part logistical issue. And I think some of the bankers have pointed that out. They're having a problem trying to get all the money, all the ATMs retrofitted and ready for the new notes that were published, the 2,000 new notes, 2,000 rupee notes and the 500 rupee notes. So the ATMs are not fully ready across the country to accept those and dispense those things. So they're working on that. It's a work in progress. They're almost there, but they're still work in progress. And then they had stopped printing 2,000 rupee notes for a while. So there was a sense that they might run out of 2,000 rupee notes. So there's a lot of cash hoarding going on. So there are a lot of all these side issues playing in, and there was an unusual spike in demand for these notes. 90% of the notes in circulation are 500 rupee notes and 200 rupee notes, 2,000 rupee notes. So I think that's high demand, and so that's what caused the spike in demand. The supply is low. So you're seeing the supply-demand imbalance, to summarize that.
But nonetheless, I mean...
But it's no way an indication of...
Sure, but nonetheless, I mean, it does smack of a certain amount of mismanagement. I mean, the government has made several U-turns on this. They banned the high-denomination notes, and then they imposed a 2,000 rupee note, and then they took it out of circulation again. I mean, doesn't all of this lend a blow to its reputation among investors in particular, foreign investors?
Yes, it does. And they need to fix the problem very fast. I think the broader reason for doing this demonetization and all that is very good. They wanted to stop this black money and all the counterfeiting and all the other reasons. There was a good purpose for doing all this. The execution has been very poor. They need to get it right. It seemed like it was getting there. Talking to the bankers or listening to the bankers, it seems like they're, in terms of the supply, they're back to where it should be. It just needs to catch up a little bit, and most of it is rumor mongering. And don't forget, there's some elections, high-profile elections coming on, so you'll see the political parties start these rumors. So that all that plays into all this. Growing up in India, I know how that is a big part of everything that goes on. So rumors and hoarding and all that kind of plays into the structural issues that are already going on. So it's not necessarily very bad as it appears, but the execution has been poor, to say the least.
Yeah, Santosh, I think you're understating, perhaps, if anything, the role that politics plays in India. I mean, politics are never too far from anything that happens in India, right? I mean, but I mean, the other aspect of all of this whole demonetization was to actually shift India towards a more cashless society. But hasn't all of this just proved that cash is ultimately king in India?
Yes, cash is still king. It's going to take a while for the digitization of the currency. people are much more comfortable, especially the low-income people, and there's a lot of money transacted, the cash changing hands. So that's going to take a while. It's very efficient to go on a digital route, but knowing India and knowing how it's not very tech savvy, except for the higher strata of the society, so it's going to take a while to catch up. But I think overall it's moving in that direction. People are seeing the convenience of it, so it'll take some time. Everything moves at a glacial speed in India. It ultimately moves there, it gets there, but you don't know how it gets there. It's very chaotic, but I think it's moving in the right direction.
In the meantime, is this hurting poor people disproportionately more than, as you say, the tech-savvy, perhaps the more wealthy people in India?
Yes, definitely. It inconveniences them. The people on hourly wages and all that, they rely, the people who are underbanked and non-banked, they rely on cash business, cash economy. So it's definitely affecting them. But if you saw in the last monetization, when that whole thing happened, the people who we thought would be most affected, they did not mind it. They thought it was really taking away the bad guys out of the picture. It was impacting the bad guys. So I think net, you would have thought they would have been more upset, but they were not. They were inconvenienced, but they thought it was for a larger good, and overall, they supported the government. So it's still not, the jury's still out as to whether it's good or bad, but I think overall, we'll see how it plays out. This is definitely inconvenient, but it's not the end of the world. India will go on, and they just reported a solid GDP number. It's 7.8%, I think, and so the numbers, it's the highest ever is the highest amongst the other countries, more than China. So it's moving in the right direction. They need to stop putting all these hurdles in between.
Great analysis. As always, Santosh Rao, Manhattan Venture Partners. Thank you very much indeed.